My name is Iris Calder, and this is the story of how my brother tried to erase me from my own legacy. Have you ever felt invisible? Not just overlooked, not just forgotten, but completely erased. Erased by the person who was supposed to stand beside you. The person who shared your blood, your childhood, your parents' dreams. I have. And let me tell you something about being erased. It does not kill you. It transforms you. My brother took everything from me. My work. My name. My voice. He smiled while doing it. And I let him think he won. But what he did not know was that I was not broken. I was just getting started. The workshop smelled like sawdust and linseed oil. It always had. Ever since I was 7 years old, running my small fingers over the grain of oak planks while my father worked in silence, letting the wood speak to him. He used to say that furniture was not just built, it was born. Every piece had a soul, a story, a purpose. I believed him. My brother, Marcus, did not. Marcus believed in profit margins, shortcuts, and charm. He was the loud one. The one who could walk into a room and own it within seconds. The one people remembered. I was the shadow. The one in the corner with pencil smudges on my hands and wood shavings in my hair. The one who spent hours sketching designs that made people stop and stare, even if they never knew who created them. When our parents retired, they left the family business to both of us. Whitmore Furnishings. 3 generations of craftsmanship, tradition, and heart. Dad pulled me aside the day he signed the papers. His hands were rough and scarred from decades of work, but his grip was gentle. He looked me in the eyes and said, "Iris, this place runs on soul. Never forget that. The moment you lose the soul, you lose everything." I nodded. I understood. Marcus was there too, grinning, shaking hands, talking about expansion and modern markets. Dad smiled at him, but I saw the flicker of concern in his eyes. He knew. He knew Marcus did not care about the soul. But he hoped, like I did, that maybe, just maybe, working together would change him. It did not. For the first year, we divided the work. Marcus handled clients, marketing, and finances. I handled the designs, the craftsmanship, the heart of every piece we made. I would spend days perfecting a single chair. The curve of the backrest. The angle of the legs. The way the armrests invited you to sit and stay a while. I would sand until my fingers bled, stain until the color sang, and carve details that made each piece unique. Marcus would walk through the workshop occasionally, glance at my work, and say, "Looks good. Keep it up." Then he would disappear into his office to make calls and post photos on social media. Photos of him standing beside my work. Him smiling in front of my designs. Him shaking hands with clients who thought he was the genius behind it all. At first, I told myself it did not matter. As long as the business succeeded, as long as people loved what we made, the credit did not matter. But it did. It mattered more than I wanted to admit. Everything changed the day we got the feature. A design magazine, one of the biggest in the industry, wanted to write about Whitmore Furnishings. They loved our work. They called it soulful, timeless, and breathtaking. I was in the workshop when Marcus got the call. I heard him laugh, loud and triumphant, as he paced back and forth in his office. When he hung up, he burst through the door, grinning like he had just won the lottery. "Iris, we are in. They want to feature us in the fall issue." I looked up from the table I was finishing, my heart racing. "Really? That is incredible." He nodded, already typing on his phone. "This is going to change everything. National exposure. High-end clients. This is exactly what we needed." I smiled, my chest swelling with pride. Years of work. Years of pouring my heart into every piece. Finally, people would see it. Finally, people would know. The magazine sent a journalist the following week. A woman named Claudia with sharp eyes and a notebook full of questions. She walked through the workshop slowly, running her hands over the furniture, asking about techniques, inspiration, and process. I was ready. I had so much to say. But Marcus was faster. He stepped in front of me, his smile wide and easy, his voice smooth. "Let me show you around," he said. "I will explain everything." Claudia followed him, and I stood there, holding a chisel, watching as he gestured to my designs and spoke as if they were his own. "This piece here," he said, pointing to a dining table I had spent 3 months perfecting. Was inspired by mid-century modern lines but with a rustic twist. I wanted to create something that felt both elegant and grounded. I felt my stomach twist. He continued, walking her through the workshop, touching my tools, my sketches, my unfinished work. He talked about vision and creativity and passion. He talked about how he built this business from the ground up. He talked about himself. Only himself. Claudia took notes, nodding, smiling. She never looked at me. Not once. When the interview was over, she shook Marcus's hand and said, "Thank you so much. This is going to be a beautiful feature." Marcus beamed. I said nothing. The magazine came out 6 weeks later. I bought a copy from the bookstore downtown and sat in my car, hands trembling as I flipped to the article. The headline read, Marcus Whitmore, the visionary behind Whitmore Furnishings. There were photos of him in the workshop, standing beside my work, arms crossed, looking confident and proud. There were quotes about his creative process, his inspiration, his dedication. There was not a single mention of me. Not one. I read the article 3 times, hoping I had missed something. A footnote. A credit line. Anything. But there was nothing. I drove back to the workshop. The magazine crumpled in my fist. Marcus was in his office, on the phone laughing. I stood in the doorway, waiting. When he finally hung up, he looked at me and grinned. Did you see it? We are famous, Iris. This is huge. I held up the magazine. You took credit for everything. He shrugged, still smiling. What are you talking about? It is our business. I represented us. No, I said, my voice shaking. You represented yourself. You did not mention me once. Not once. He sighed, leaning back in his chair. Iris, come on. The journalist wanted to talk to someone. I was available. You were busy in the workshop. You could have called me. You could have told her I was the designer. He waved his hand dismissively. People do not care about details like that. They want a story, a face. I gave them that. You gave them my work and called it yours. His smile faded. You are being dramatic. I am being erased. He stood up, his tone sharper now. You are not erased. You are part of this business. But let us be honest, Iris. No one wants to hear about the quiet one in the back. You would not know how to run this place without me. The words hit like a punch. I stared at him, my brother, the person I had trusted, and realized he truly believed what he was saying. He truly believed I was nothing without him. That night, I did not sleep. I sat in the workshop, surrounded by my sketches, my tools, my unfinished pieces. I thought about my father's words. This place runs on soul. Marcus had no soul. Not for this. Not for the work. He cared about glory, recognition, success. But he did not care about the craft. He did not care about me. I made a decision. I could stay and let him erase me completely. Or I could leave and build something that was truly mine. The next morning, I packed my things. My sketches. My notebooks. The old carving tools my father had given me when I was 16. Marcus was in his office when I walked past. He glanced up, confused. Where are you going? I am leaving. He laughed. Leaving? Iris, do not be ridiculous. You are upset. I get it. But this will blow over. No, I said. It will not. He stood up, his expression hardening. You cannot just leave. This is our business. It was, I said. But you made it yours. So now I am going to make something mine. He stared at me, and for a moment, I thought he might apologize. But instead he smirked. Good luck with that. You will be back in a month. I walked out without another word. He did not follow. He did not believe I would actually do it. But I did. I rented a garage on the edge of town. It was small, dusty, and freezing in the winter. But it was mine. I set up my tools, hung my sketches on the walls, and got to work. At first, I made small pieces. A side table. A set of shelves. A bench. I posted photos online, hoping anyone would notice. A few people did. They messaged me, asking about prices, custom orders, delivery. I worked late into the night, sanding, staining, assembling. Every piece I made carried a part of me. My hands. My vision. My soul. I called my new company Root and Grain. A name that meant rebuilding from the ground up. A name that honored where I came from and where I was going. Slowly, word spread. A local blogger featured one of my tables. A designer shared my work on Instagram. A small boutique ordered 3 custom pieces. I was not famous, but I was seen. And that was enough. Months passed. I upgraded my equipment, hired a part-time assistant, and moved into a larger workshop. My designs caught the attention of a sustainable living magazine. They loved the story. A woman building a business from scratch, honoring traditional craftsmanship while embracing modern sustainability. They featured me. Not Marcus. Me. My name. My face. My work. The response was overwhelming. Orders poured in. Design blogs picked up the story. National retailers reached out. Root and Grain was no longer just a small garage operation. It was becoming something real. Something powerful. Meanwhile, Marcus was struggling. I heard through mutual contacts that Whitmore Furnishings was overextended. He had expanded too quickly, hired cheap labor, and started using imported materials to cut costs. The quality suffered. Clients complained. Reviews tanked. He was losing the soul my father had built. And once you lose the soul, you lose everything. One morning, I woke up to a news alert on my phone. The headline read, Whitmore Furnishings files for bankruptcy. I sat in bed, staring at the screen, my heart pounding. Part of me felt sad. That business was my father's legacy. But another part of me, the part that had been erased, dismissed, and belittled, felt something else. Relief. Justice. Validation. Marcus had built his empire on my work. And now it was gone. A week later, I received a call from one of his former suppliers. Ms. Calder, we have been following your work. We would love to partner with Root and Grain. I smiled. I would love that. One by one, Marcus's former clients, suppliers, and contacts reached out to me. They had seen what I was building. They wanted to be part of it. Root and Grain grew faster than I had ever imagined. I opened a showroom. I hired a full team. I launched a national campaign focused on sustainability, craftsmanship, and authenticity. Everything Marcus had tried to fake, I made real. 2 years after I left, Marcus called me. I almost did not answer. But curiosity got the better of me. Iris, he said, his voice tight. Can we talk? About what? I wanted to see if maybe we could work together again. You have done really well. I thought maybe I could come on as a consultant. Help with marketing or... No. Silence. Iris, come on. I know things ended badly, but... You did not just take credit for my work, Marcus. You erased me. You made me feel like I was nothing. I did not mean. Yes, you did. And now you want my help because your empire collapsed and mine succeeded. He said nothing. I continued, my voice steady. You can apply online, Marcus. Like everyone else. But I do not have a position for someone who takes credit for others' work. I hung up. He never applied. Today, Root and Grain is the largest artisanal furniture line in the region. My name is carved into every sign. Every invoice. Every piece. I walk through my showroom and see my father's legacy, not in the business Marcus destroyed, but in the one I built from nothing. People ask me if I ever regret leaving. I do not. Because silence was not my weakness. It was my power. And revenge was not about destroying Marcus. It was about building something so beautiful, so strong, so undeniable that no one could ever erase me again. My name is Iris Calder. And this is my story. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you that your voice matters, please subscribe to our channel. Share your own story in the comments. Let us build a community where the quiet ones are finally heard. Hit that subscribe button and join us. Your story deserves to be told.